let us master the strategies to beat the competition. I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. In this playlist, we are taking a few important questions which can help you prepare for SAT. We'll focus on trigonometry and then take up rational functions. Here is a question for you. BD is an altitude in the right angle triangle ABC. What is the length of the side DC if angle ACB is 30 degrees and AB is 6 centimeters? So that's the triangle ABC, B 90 degrees, 30 degrees angle C, 6 centimeters is the length A to B. You have to find the length from D to C. You can always pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. Now, answer of this question is not very difficult. However, the challenge here is to solve the question in less than a minute. That is critical. Now, in many competitive exams, these are multiple choice questions where you may have to answer 25 questions in maybe 20 minutes. Some of them you can afford to spend more time on, but why not look into the strategies of solving such questions? So spend time now to save it later. So the idea here is to understand the concepts and then solve similar questions. Perfect. That's the idea. Solve similar questions in less than a minute. That is what we are focusing on, and this is where my classes come handy. In case you want to learn from me, you can always send an email on the address given. Most of my students are amongst the best in their class. Some are getting awards like Akshay.
After attending university. The winner of this year's Certificate of Achievement Schulich Leader Award is Anil.
Great. Our student Akshat gets highest marks and the most prestigious Schulich Leader Award. You can be there. Join our summer classes and get ready for bright future. Now let's look into the strategies of solving such a question. Now let me share a few tips with you. Tip number 1 is when you read a problem, first you check the diagram. So focus should be on the figure itself. Even before reading the problem, have a look at the figure so that you can connect as you read. That saves you time because reading time is also around 15 seconds. So BD is an altitude, right, in the right angle triangle. What is the length of D to C? So we want to find the length of D to C. Keep that a focus. And we are given whatever is labeled in this particular diagram. Clear. And we have the choices here. So if you read like this, you save a lot of time. You don't have to again and again read the question. Tip number 2. When you notice in any right triangle, angles like 30 degrees, that means what? That means we are talking about special triangles. Know your special triangles. If you know your special triangles, this question can still be solved in just 20 seconds. Just 20 seconds. I'll show you that. And this is going to be our strategy number 1. So special triangles, I will say strategy 1. Second, of course, you can use trigonometric ratios. That is the normal method. So, of course, you can identify and figure out how to use trigonometric ratios. That means we're talking about SOHCAHTOA. Sine as the ratio of opposite to hypotenuse, cosine adjacent to hypotenuse, and tan opposite to adjacent. So that is the second approach. Right? Of course, you can do elimination of these options and select the right one. Also, that could be possible, but in the given choices, it is not a good way to do. Many examples or the options given to you look close to the answer. Perfect. Now let's see the first approach, which is special triangle. Well, some of you might take SAT early on, and therefore you may need more help with concepts. So I'm spending time here, but in case you know about special triangles, you can skip this part of the video. Perfect? Right. So let's sketch a triangle here and understand what is a special triangle. So, you know equilateral triangle? Equilateral triangle has all equal sides, as the name suggests, and all equal angles. 180 divided by 3 is 60 degrees. So all the angles are 60 degrees. Now, if I drop a perpendicular from a vertex to the opposite side, which becomes the altitude, it is going to bisect the angles and also the opposite side. It is in fact the right bisector in an equilateral triangle. Now, the angle will of course be 30 degrees, and that is why we say 30, 60, 90 as a special triangle. Do you see that? The angles are 30, 60, 90 in this small triangle. The two congruent triangles, both are same, right? Now, if I take one of the sides as 2, then half of that is going to be 1, and altitude will be what? Well, square root 3. How did I get it? Pythagorean theorem, right? So this altitude is basically 2 square minus 1 square square root, and definitely this is 4 minus 1, which is square root of 3. Make sense? So that becomes your side. Now, whenever we're talking about the triangles, it is a good idea to label them, right? So let me label it as the diagram has been labeled here, right? So I'll just label it as A, B, and D, right? Let that be C. Okay, so do you see this part is similar to this part, right? So we have two similar triangles, correct? Do you agree with me? Since all the angles are same, right? So from the property of angle and angle, we are talking about similar triangles. Well, similar triangles mean same ratios, right? Okay. So if the side is 2 and 1, and here it is 6, means times 3, then that side should be what? Well, clearly, that should be 3, right? Makes sense? That should be 3, right? So we get a side which is 3 just by comparing these two things. Perfect. Now look at it from the other side. Opposite to 30 and hypotenuse. Now if you see from this side, opposite to 30, right, this is 6, and that is hypotenuse, right? So this is the hypotenuse. And that is opposite to 30, right? Kind of like this. Do you see that? So it is double. So that means that this particular length from here to here should have been 6 times 2 or 12. You see that? 6 times 2 means 12, and definitely what you want is D to C. It has to be 12 minus 3, and therefore we get our answer, which is 9. Make sense? See how beautifully we have found the solution without doing much calculations. So knowledge of these special triangles is key for shortcuts in trigonometry. You get an idea. Most of the questions in trigonometry involve these special triangles. Make a note of this. Perfect. So do you see how easily we have solved it? We didn't use SOHCAHTOA, trigonometric ratios, whatever. But we got our answer straight and correct. Perfect. So that is what we are saying. Understand concepts and solve similar questions. Now, I think whenever you see a triangle-based question, right angle, with 30, 60, 90 involved, you will just compare and use similar triangles concept to solve, right? That is what is the difference in our classes and otherwise. Perfect. But well, we're talking about trigonometry, right? Let us have the trigonometric approach to solve this question also. It's good to know because those are the concepts which might be needed, right? So I hope you're there with me, getting along, understand how we could actually prepare for SAT effectively. That's the whole idea. And in case you want to learn from me, of course, you have an option. You can send an email, right? So let's look into the second approach. I hope you like this one, right? And this should be the first priority. Right, now let's talk about trigonometry. Right, now looking into the triangles, how should we do it? Perfect. So we already given 30 degrees, 6 and 90 degrees, correct. So we have a triangle in which we could use sine ratio, right? SOHCAHTOA. So remember SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos adjacent over hypotenuse, tan opposite over adjacent. So since we are given the opposite side, which is 6, correct? We need to find the hypotenuse. Then we can always write down this as sine 30 as equal to 6 over A to C, right? So clearly AC is equal to 6 divided by sine 30. Make sense? So we got this side. Perfect. And now we are looking into the other triangle. So this is when we are talking about the triangle ABC, right? Now let's look into the other triangle. I'll change the ink so that it becomes easier for us to communicate. And now in triangle ABD. In ABD, what do you notice? Well, we can find AD as a ratio of cosine, right? What is this angle at A? Well, if that is 30, this has to be 60. Makes sense, right? 90 minus 30. So we know that angle A has to be 60 degrees, right? 90, 30, 60. Sum is 180, it makes sense, right? Perfect. So that means I know that cos of 60 degrees should be equal to AD over hypotenuse 6, and therefore we know what AD is. AD is 6 times cos of 60 degrees. Perfect. So now we can always find the side required, which is DC, and DC will be equals to AC minus AD. And that is equal to AC is 6 over sine 30 minus 6 cos 60. And you get your answer. If calculator is allowed, just calculate and get the answer. And if it is not allowed, go back to the special triangle. So knowledge of special triangle is a must, right? So let me write down this as 6 over sine 30 minus 6 cos 60. Let's write it down. So we know that our answer DC is 6 divided by sine of 30. It has to be a big number, right? And this is a small number, 6 times cos of 60 degrees, correct? Perfect. Now, once again, draw your special triangle. So, a special triangle is needed, even otherwise. Perfect. And the ratios are 2, 1, square root 3. Sides 60 degrees and 30 degrees, correct? So, we know 6 divided by sine of 30, which is half, right? So, it is 1 over 2 minus 6 times cos of 60, which is half, correct? So, that gives you 6 times 2 minus 3, or 12 minus 3, which is equal to 9, and we do get 9. Well, I'm showing you all the calculations and details to basically understand. In any competitive exam, you don't have to do all this, right? You'll jump into the answer straight away at the earliest. Perfect. But I hope with this clear picture, it is absolutely clear that this question could have been solved in less than a minute. Perfect. So once again, I'd like you to summarize how will you solve this particular question, correct? So the key to solve this question is identify that this is a special triangle, 30, 60, 90, right? So that's the special triangle. And you know what 30, 60, 90 triangle is. It has the sides 1, 2, square root 3. And comparing the sides, you can write down this as 3 and that as 12, right? Twice 6. And therefore, you get your answer as 9, and there you go. Do you see that? That is how you should be solving it. I hope you understand and appreciate it. Feel free to provide your suggestions. And if you like and subscribe to my videos, that will be great. And even better will be, you can also learn from me. Perfect? Thanks for your time and all the best.